Tokyo, the capital of Japan. Today, Tokyo is a huge metropolitan area with 1/4 of Japan's population. However, about 400 years ago, this area was a rural region with vast wetlands. In the 1600s, when the world was globalizing in search of Asian goods, Japan was expected by Western merchants to be a gold and silver island. The Shogun, who unified Japan using weapons purchased from Europe, planned to reclaim the marshlands and build a water city with a castle and waterways around it. The constructed Edo was the prototype of today's Tokyo. A few years before the construction of the city, the Shogun added a merchant from the Netherlands, whose capital was the water city Amsterdam, to his vassals. The construction of the huge city required a great deal of stone. Just as stones were transported by sea from the island of Portland, about 200 kilometers away, for the building project in London, stones were supplied from the Izu Peninsula, about 150 kilometers across the sea, for the construction of the city of Edo, where major work on the stone walls of castles and waterways was carried out. The stones from the Izu Peninsula, which continued to be used as building stone in eastern Japan, came to be known as Izu-stone. The Izu Peninsula, a volcanic island jutting out from the sea, facilitates the transportation of stones from the sea. Walking along the Senjojiki in the southern part of the Izu Peninsula, one can see countless square quarries. These are the remains of the Izu stone quarry. This site is open to the public as a UNESCO Geosite of Izu Peninsula Geopark. In the late 1700s, as Europe and the United States entered the age of mechanization through the Industrial Revolution, the demand for whale oil increased as a lubricant for machinery. Western whaling fleets flooded the waters around Japan, where the whales were found. Western nations sought to host their ships in Japan. The Japanese administration decided to accept foreign ships at the port of Shimoda on the Izu Peninsula as a gateway to Edo. In Shimoda, Japanese and Western architectural cultures blended, and buildings were constructed using stone for exterior walls. On Perry Road, where American Commodore Matthew Perry marched, stone structures still remain, operating as cafes and other businesses. In 1868, Edo was renamed Tokyo. The emperor moved from Kyoto to Tokyo, and Tokyo became the capital of Japan. Western countries demanded that the Japanese government make the capital, which was wooden and subject to frequent fires, incombustible. Thus, stone and brick town planning was promoted in Tokyo and Yokohama. Japanese government officials decided to visit Paris and other cities and use them as models for Tokyo's urban transformation. At its peak, Izu stone accounted for 70% to 80% of all the stone used in Tokyo. Even today, there are still buildings in Tokyo that were built using such stones. At the port of Shimoda on the Izu Peninsula, there are still buildings of a shipping wholesaler that was engaged in the marine transportation of Izu stone at that time. The unique pattern of plaster on the exterior walls is common to those prevalent in the city of Edo. These shipping agents owned Western-style sailing boats that shuttled between the capital and the Izu Peninsula for the transportation of stones. In response to the construction rush in Tokyo and Yokohama, quarries on the Izu Peninsula were also modernized. On the Izu Peninsula, British and French technicians provided technical guidance on the Izu Peninsula and taught the use of gunpowder and other quarrying methods. The tunnel-like quarries on the Izu Peninsula resemble French quarries of the same period in the shape of the columns and walls left behind and in the pattern of quarry marks. The quarry sites, stone buildings and industrial heritage of the Izu Peninsula, which supplied important Western-style buildings in Tokyo and the stone materials used to build them, attest to the role this region played in Japanese history. Izu has had strong ties to the political centers of eastern Japan for centuries as an important supply area for the development of Japan. Even today, when the stone industry has declined, many tourists still visit the area to enjoy fresh seafood and mountain produce. Historical heritage sites, hot springs, and Mount Fuji